All right, we get it rolling on the Krug Show after Giants baseball. Giants lose. Giants lose. Giants lose. Oh, man. 4-2. 4-2 the final. Giants lose in Miami. Thanks for joining me on the Krug Show, the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Check them out in Corte Madera. Open 7 days a week in Corte Madera, and they're open, of course, Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville, inside the Emeryville Public Marketplace. Larry Krug joined by the great Dan Coach Emilio, who had this thing rolling, I'm sure, on the NorCal Sports Network. Danny, what can you say? I mean, the Giants, the Giants are, I put it out there the first week, opening day. I said, man, you got Wilmer in the 3-hole. You got Yaz every day in center field. You got Wade leading off. This lineup is weak. Mm-hmm. Then they go to the south side of Chicago. It was bombs away. All kinds of home runs, all kinds of, the ball's jumping, and people start trashing me. Hey, Krug, come on! How can you say they're weak? You're so wrong. Oh my God. Well, I mean, now we're a few more games in. They're 5-11, and they cannot hit. Wade's leading off, and he's hitting .222.
Yeah,
and there's got the only guys that are really good in their lineup.
He doesn't even swing the bat, Larry. He just waits for a walk.
Oh, I know. He's working the count. Estrada is raking. J.D. Davis is unbelievably raking. I love watching J.D. Davis hit.
Yep.
I'm not rooting against them in the slightest. Yaz got a big 2-run home run in the first inning today off Cabrera, 2-run shot to make it 2-0 Giants, and that's all they got. That was a wrap on the entire offense. Yep. And you know what? I had this discussion. You can watch the live stream I did with FP Santangelo, and I love FP. But I just said, hey, man, this team's so thin. And he's like, well, I said the position players are thin. He's like, I disagree. I think there's good depth there. We're not even out of April yet. And I'm listening to Dave coming back from my kid's high school game. Listening to Dave on the broadcast post game, talking about the injuries have mounted and the Giants' depth is being severely tested. It's April 18th.
Yeah,
I mean,
16 games in.
Yeah. So I mean, this depth, the depth
amazing.
Is wishful thinking. This team is not deep at all, and I don't know. I mean, what is the prognosis, by the way, with Alex Wood?
Hamstrings, probably grade 1. I don't know if it's they've done an MRI yet, but my guess is he'll miss 2-3 starts, probably put him on the IL tomorrow, and then he'll probably be out 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks is my guess if it's minor, but.
Okay, so that's good. As far as I was thinking, maybe, Dan, that it was going to be like something more severe than the hamstring, but it was just the hamstring.
Yeah, and it didn't look like it was. I mean, he walked gingerly, but a little not like horribly. So I would say.
But I mean, he didn't throw any warm-up pitches when he didn't try to. He must have felt something grab because he didn't
felt
even
the
try.
grab. You could almost see it kind of when he threw it. You could see the leg kind of on pop. But I love Mario's comment. He was over on my channel. Larry, I need more energy than Dan's show. I'm dragging
more what?
More energy. Yeah. Yeah. My voice is shot. I'm telling you, it is hard to do a post-game show and talk about the Giants. They are boring as hell. They are, they're just hard to watch. They're not.
Wait a second. MF, I think, has summed it up, Danny. The word is dull.
Yeah.
Dull.
Yeah. We
got to use that word more. It was a very dull game. A dull team playing a dull game in front of a dull broadcast. I mean, it's just
I wonder if Robert Rothberg will move over here. He was over on my channel, and he was, as positive as ever.
Really?
But he said, I will not throw in the towel. I said, I'm going to predict the date, Robert. July 4th, you will throw in the towel.
Well, I mean, there's no reason to throw in the towel as far as give up. I mean, first of all, let's just acknowledge who we are and what we are. Okay, let's set the ground rules on this whole season. All right. I am Larry. Hi, I'm a Giants fan. You're Dan. You're a Giants fan. I'm Gilbert Gamboa. I'm a Giants fan. I'm MF. I'm a Giants fan. Okay, so that's just what it is. And you know what? You got to ride. You got to ride with it. They go up, they go down. They're good. They're bad.
I'll tell you what. It's
nothing's fate. I don't want to get fatalistic. Like they're shit, and they're gonna be shit. It's like I don't want to get there, but this season is going to. You can have a plan, but then the games start, and then your plan gets blown out of the water. And I heard something today, and tell me if you're there, and I'd love to hear this from the chat. Let's all acknowledge who we are. We're all Giants fans. That's why we give a crap about this. Okay, that's one. The question is this. I got a comment. I'm sure you might have seen this as well. You've probably gotten comments like this, I should say. From a guy who's like, man, I'm a hardcore Giants fan, Krug, but I'm really torn. I'm actually in a place right now where I'm rooting for them to lose because I want regime change. I want Kapler out. I want Farhan out. This is what he's saying to me. He's like, hey, I love the Giants.
Who said this?
It's in my Twitter, or maybe I got
okay.
Maybe it was a message here. Let me see if maybe it's in my Twitter.
I've met a lot of people like that, Larry. A lot.
They're just like, hey, you know what? I'm rooting. I'm rooting for regime change. I'm rooting for the Giants to lose, so it gets so bad that the owners are forced to fire Farhan and fire Kapler and be done with this whole regime so we can get to the next chapter in Giants baseball. How many people are there? That's what I want to know. How many people are already at that point? And I see now some people,
Mark Hope says
these
me for
pie in the
sure.
sky people will be like, that's the height of negativity, and oh my God, the
blasphemous.
I hate this. I hate this whole thing. Oh, it's April. Like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care what date it is. It doesn't matter to me that it's April. There's no law that says I can't fairly evaluate the product until a certain number of games. I don't owe anybody a number of games. What are you talking about? It's April. I mean, yes, are they mathematically eliminated? No. I don't have to wait till they're mathematically eliminated to actually see some young players instead of retreads and 4A junk. I don't need to wait that long. I can demand that early on. So the whole thing, the people that are, it's like, who's the bigger Giants fan? Who's the more true Giants fan? The one that really wants to see this team bottom out because they think that Gabe and Farhan don't have a clue and they want to move on from those guys? Or the people who are sitting there just saying, you know what? I'm not going to make any evaluations till June. It's like, who? I mean, to me, I would much rather see analogy. I'd much rather see young players up here. Show me the young talent.
Let me give you another analogy that fits that. If you've had a kid that's dating somebody that you don't like, you're like, your kid really loves the person, but you're like, I want to see this thing fall apart because I know it's not the best thing for their future, for the kid. You don't want your kid to get in a bad relationship. So you kind of just hope it falls apart. That's what we're saying here. We want to see the Giants.
Gabe and Farhan are a bad relationship for the Giants.
You want
to see Danny's saying.
Fall apart so that it can get better, and you can bring in that real sweetheart guy that you want. You want your kid to marry, not the bum. Because if they stay together forever, it's going to end in disaster. You want it to end good.
Gabe and Farhan are the equivalent of the guy that walks through your house and he's got like barbed wire tattooed around his biceps. And you're like, get out of here, man. Get your barbed wire out of here. Get your barbed wire away from my daughter.
Yeah. Exactly.
You want them out. You want them out. You're like, you know what? This is nothing but trouble. Or just, the facial tattoo that prevents employment for the rest of your life. It's the gigantic Mike Tyson tattoo over the eye. You just go, no, I hope she leaves him.
I'm not even sugarcoating it anymore. I really not. I mean, I've been a fan for over 50 years. I got my days literally for 6 months. I was either high or low based on the way the Giants played. If they won, I was sky high. If they lost, I was kind of in the, just the dumpster, and this went on for probably into my 40s, maybe even early 50s. Now I'm 61 and I'm like, last year I was like in it and I was really into it. And I thought, because they were coming off a great season in 21, so my hopes were high. I thought, hey, this team's going to win 90 games. It's going to make the playoffs. They started out pretty decently and then it fell apart. And then I'm like, and then you're just watching this whole thing, the way they're running it and the way the off season went. And you're like, dang, I am getting sick of this. This 107 wins was an aberration. That was a fluke. So now now I'm like, when they lose, I'm kind of like, you know what? That wasn't so bad. Maybe
I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be all right.
Maybe
my name's Dan Coach Emilio, and it's April 18th, and I'm going to be all right. Yeah, maybe that's what we should do. We should have like a group thing. Hey, guys, all Giants fans now on the chat, let's collectively hold hands. My name is MF, and I'm a Giants fan, and I'm going to be all right. My name's Larry Krueger, and I'm a Giants fan, and I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be all right.
12-step in here.
I'm going to be all right.
How about,
it's not over. It's not over for me.
We always used to get excited about the trades during the offseason or the free agents. Now it's like, who could they get? Can they get Correa or Judge? Or maybe they get Trey Turner. Oh, no. How about, it's like now you start scrolling the GM, who's the best GMs out there and managers, and you're looking for that day where like, hey, maybe we can get back to
here. I got a good manager for you. Get a beer. Get a beer.
Get a beer.
Hey, get a beer. Why don't you go with that guy in Texas? Hey, how about a good GM? I got one for you. The Yanks have a guy who's advising their front office right now. His name's Brian Sabian. The guy won 3 titles in a market very similar to the one that the Giants are in right now. It's just ridiculous.
It's amazing.
What do you think of this one, though?
Guys.
What do you think of Paul Perriman's comment here? Kapler will be Farhan's scapegoat eventually, even though both should be fired. Will Farhan sell out on Kapler? Will he throw Kapler under the bus to save his own butt? Or will they go? They came in they didn't come in as a team because Farhan was there with Boch. But Gabe was Farhan's hand-picked guy. Who outlives the other? But, if you did a poll right now on Twitter, more responsible for this dull Giants team, Gabe or Farhan? Farhan would easily win. Easily win.
Yeah, I think.
But while it's easy to blame Farhan, if it was a popularity contest, who do you like more? Farhan would easily beat Gabe, I think.
Yes.
Well, and I'm not even 100% sure about that, actually, because we know Farhan, but maybe the fans don't because he hides out. So maybe that would be neck and neck. But I would say Farhan's more popular, but Farhan's also would be held more to blame right now for where they're at. A lot of people feel like Gabe is just he just doesn't have the pieces. So there's that. But will Farhan, who will outlive the other, or will they be gone together?
I think they should 86 both, but
That might be the poll question of the night. Get
just
that up
a
at sfgiants.com.
package deal.
Who's more likely to outlive the other, Gabe or Farhan? I'm putting that out there. I'm putting that poll question out. We got to get that thing rolling.
The Giants have had
Who do you think? Who would you vote for there? Who's more likely to be here longer, Gabe or Farhan?
Farhan, yeah, because you know why? Because the owners love Farhan. You know why they love Farhan? Because he makes
some money. Yeah,
he makes some money. There's 30 plus.
But
owners.
I mean, come on, they have a lot of money. I mean, you're saying they don't care about winning? They haven't really won with Farhan. I mean, they won 107 that one year, but it was Sabian's team, and that was the luckiest season in the history of American sports. I mean, I'll go.
Robert Rothbury asked me, Dan, is it possible for the Giants to reach 500 by the All-Star game? Well, it's very possible if they anything can happen in baseball, but it's like I don't see it realistically, Robert. But is it possible? Heck, they're 5 games under, 6 games under. They're 5-11. You go on a 6-game win streak, you're at 500.
I mean, there's a chance. I mean, there's a chance they could win 100 games. They're not going to, but there's a chance.
Yeah.
MF says, bring up Patrick Bailey. Did you see Bailey's?
5 for 5 and a homer.
Now, where was that, Danny? Is that
Double A? Yeah, Richmond.
So that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
He's swinging the bat at Double A. So
having
maybe
a little trouble still with the catching, they said, but
maybe Bailey and Bart could be their combo.
Yeah, maybe so. You know, the thing I pointed out on my show, the Giants got to go to make the playoffs. You last year, the last team in, Phillies won 87 games. So I was projecting 88. Giants have to go 63 or 83 and 63 in the final 146. 83 and 20. They got to play 20 games over 500 to win 88 games.
So you're saying there's a chance? No, I mean,
you think they're going to play 20 over 500? This team?
No, they can't hit.
They can't hit. Hey, listen to this stat, Larry. All these people took all these like victory laps 5 games into the season on me. They hit in Chicago, you moron. Obviously you're wrong. Look what they did to the White Sox. Okay. I'm like, why don't you let that one breathe a little bit before you start telling me what my take was bad? Yeah.
They can't hit their way out of a paper bag.
From Alex Pavlovich tonight on the post-game show on NBC Sports Bay Area, the Giants, he said, are on pace for 1,800 strikeouts. The major league record is 1,596.
Oh, they're going to obliterate it.
By the Orioles, who lost 115 games when they're
going to obliterate the strikeout record.
So if they strike out 1,800 times.
With a team that I guess you could say, I heard Dave Fleming was like, this team's got a lot of power, man. They're going to hit a lot of home runs. What? Talk about what a waste of what's that? I mean, and your point, they're headed towards like a 70-win season. Is it going to make it better if they hit a bunch of balls over the fence?
You got a bunch of Dave Kingmans on your team?
I mean, it's just. It's bad, man.
Dave, who's the guy that holds the strikeout record now? Is it Duvall or who has it?
I don't know, but I'll say this. The Giants organization developed Jack Clark, and then the Giants organization developed Rob Deere. And Rob Deere was kept in the minor leagues for a long time and eventually got shipped off to Milwaukee and wound up having a big league career because he had huge power. Right. But, I mean, a guy like that couldn't even make it to the big leagues. Now, I mean, with the Giants basically never gave him a real shot. Now, a guy like that would absolutely be in the big leagues. I mean, now it's like, oh, you hit the ball over the fence? Who cares what you hit for a batting average? Right? I mean, Blake Sable is there for his bat. He's hitting 184. Villar, by the way, is hitting 176.
And struck out 4 times tonight and looked bad doing it. I mean,
the Giants
really
have so many guys 220 or lower. Wade's hitting 222. Crawford's hitting $160. Big Darren Ruff is hitting 231, but Villar's hitting 176. Sable 184. You know who's hitting the ball well? Joey Bart, 364. 364.
Yeah, he's not striking out as much. He did tonight in the
I
game.
kind of like the way he looks behind the plate.
Yeah, Bart's a good catcher.
Yeah, he looks good back there.
Yeah.
I was watching Jorge Soler in this series, and I said, man, this guy was a free agent last year, and I think I got it wrong by 1 year. I think he was a free agent 2 years ago. But, I mean, that's exactly the kind of guy that I wanted to see the Giants go after. If you can't get a big-time, Judge, Stanton, you can't get Correa, go get cheap power, relatively cheap power.
Right.
Soler signed for $12 million a year.
Yep, $12 million.
And he's done it in October. Does he strike out? Is he make you crazy 5 times a year because he just doesn't know? He makes some questionable defensive decisions or whatever. Yeah, but you can DH him, and he's got huge right-handed power. There's not a ballpark in the big leagues that can contain his blasts. So, to me, I would have loved to have seen him. When I watched the Marlins, I also think of your proposal for Jazz Chisholm. If I were the Giants, man, I would be all over that. He had the big blow tonight in the fourth.
I knew he would have a
3-run shot. Jazz Chisholm is so nice. He's such a nice player. And, I mean, he's not doing anything on this Marlins team. Not that the Giants are the world's better anyway, but, 25-year-old, bats left, throws right, can play a few spots, super athletic. I mean, if you had a guy like Jazz Chisholm at the top of your lineup, I'm watching. He's a good show. Mark Hope makes a donation. He says, Larry Legend, thank you, Mark. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. We got this one from Yachty. Another Giants loss means another spicy Krug show.
Spicy Krug sandwich.
Seriously.
Yeah, that sounds good, actually. I feel like kind of eating this when you said
yeah. What I mean, seriously, wouldn't be a post game if
you need to put out a sandwich, your own sandwich, the spicy Krug sandwich.
Well, it's funny.
Horseradish or coleslaw.
Ike has his own sandwich place, and I told Ike, I said, can I get the Krug sandwich? And he's like, what would it be? I'm like, I want it to be like Thanksgiving dinner and a sandwich, like basically turkey, some stuffing, some stuffing, no mashed potatoes. Little dressing, turkey gravy, and a few cranberries. Little turkey gravy, no mayo, no mustard, just turkey gravy, a little stuffing, and some cranberries.
That'd be
How good does that sound on a sandwich?
Yes.
Do you like the day after Thanksgiving?
I do.
Hot turkey sandwiches.
Yeah, I love that.
I mean, that's pretty damn good.
Soft bread. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I love me a nice big thick salami sandwich too. I love salami.
You say thick. You're talking about. I like the salami sliced thin.
Oh, the thin, but stack it. Thin slices,
high.
but a lot of it. Yeah.
So the only thing, and the only thing about it too, I go with the like the Golden's hot mustard.
Ooh, love Gouldens. Yeah.
Yeah, just a hot mustard in the salami.
Yes, that's what I do. I do a little mayonnaise though to kind of.
Oh, really? You cut your mustard with a little mayo. It's
a little mayo, then the mustard on top. It spreads easier. The mustard, you just spread it because it's got a little bit of, but here's the thing about the Giants that just infuriates me with Farhan. He's always trying to win a deal instead of going after the guys you want and just get them. Like Cody Bellinger, he just went 5 for 5 yesterday, home run, hitting .310, 3 homers.
I mean, it made so much sense too. You were getting rid of Belt. You were getting rid of Belt. You were trying to get more athletic in the middle of the diamond.
Yeah.
You were trying to replace Belt, and it's like he was the perfect guy. It's like you could play him a little at first. You could play him in center. Larry,
and they were in on him,
but they wanted to get their price.
They wanted to get their price. Why not pay extra? It's one stinking year. He got $16 million. Hey, Cody, we want you really bad. Here's 19. Would you take it? Well, $3 million is $3 million. Yeah, I'll take that. Or heck no, I don't want to play with you. Whatever. Find out. But you're gonna lose out on a deal.
It's kind of like when you're have the ability to acquire players, you still have to have a conviction about a player. I get the feeling that Farhan doesn't have a conviction about any player. it's all about the player in relation to their price. And he's so interested in the equation about what price did we get him at compared to what price were other teams offering. And he's got so much, he's so tied to his price and what real value is that I don't really see the conviction on any of these players. Who's he super convicted on? Who's he like, I don't care what his stats say. I like that guy. I don't care what his contract is. I like that guy. I'm going after him. He's like, I don't get the feeling that you can be overly convicted in a player, but I get the feeling that he's just not convicted in any direction. And then it's just a matter of,
it's all about
I have no idea who's going to be on this team at the end of the year, because it's all about a series of, let's just try to get this guy at this price, and we'll move him over here, we'll move that guy, we'll try this, we'll try a little of that, try a little of this, try a little of that. It's like, come on, man. Build a team. Build a team that your marketing department can market to the fans, and that the fans can have an expectation when they buy the tickets that they're going to go see this guy. Not this day-to-day.
He's like a purchaser, of a big company. Okay, this is our budget for the year. We got to spend so much this month, or we lose it. Let's, I got Cody Bellinger here. I want this guy. He's he doesn't want a 2-year deal. He doesn't want any kind of multi-year deal. He wants a 1-year deal to prove himself. You think that guy might be motivated to have a good season? Let's see. Cody, we'll offer you what we think the market value is, and you're 16, so we'll give you 16.2. We'll give you $200 dollars. We'll give you $200 over the 16 million, or 16
grand
or 200 grand. We'll even go. No, go 2-3 million over. You paid Jock Peterson 19 million because he got 6 million last year, but you wanted him on the team because you knew he was going to walk, and it was the only way you could keep him was to offer him some insane amount.
And you knew you couldn't replace him for anything. So it's like, it's just a series of moves and situations, and there's no real I don't get the sense there's any real conviction on any real play. We got to have this player. This is what we want to build around. This is our philosophy, because they contradict their philosophy. Defense is important, but then defense isn't important. Defense is vital. We've got to have, Austin wins, but then, defense is so unimportant that Darren Ruff can play the left field in the 8th inning of a tie ball game. And it's like, there is no philosophy. We're just making it up as we go. Mark Hope says, hi, Larry. Looks to me like David Villar has big-time trouble with the curveball. I mean, after swinging and missing all game, he just took one for strike 3 in the 9th. Guys sometimes don't see certain pitches. There's that. I mean, who knows how well he's seeing it. Crab Sandwich says, a dull team run by doofuses.
Somebody called Farhan Bulbhead.
I got to use doofus more. I don't use doofus enough.
Bulbhead. That's a new one.
Robert Rothberg. Robert, I'm going to push back on you here. It says, good evening, Larry and Dan. I'm really stating a fact, not excuses. These losses don't define this team. It's not fair to judge an injury-plagued team. Yes, it is. I'm going to tell you why. Because you're only are the Giants injured way more? Are they freak injuries? Was the bus on the way to the stadium broadsided by a taxi, and that's why a couple guys are on the DL? Or is it just injured guys getting injured? You know what I mean? I mean, the Giants lucked out last year that Carlos Rodon did not get injured, because he was injured. Basically, he's been injured his whole career.
Big time.
And the Giants have, they got Haniger, and he's injured. Well, let's see. How many games did Haniger play last year? 57 games. So that means there was over 100 games he didn't play. So maybe you should have known he'd be injured. Well, wait a second. Really what's hurting them is that Conforto's out. Okay, how many games did Conforto play last year? Oh, that's right. Conforto didn't play last year because he was injured. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You can blame a team for being injured if you acquire injury-prone players or players with past injury conditions and they're injured. Yes, you are to blame. I would say the number one factor in predicting future injuries is studying past injuries. That's logical. That's just logic.
Well, let me give you some numbers here with Mitch Haniger. Came up and 2016. I remember seeing him in Arizona. So he played 34 games. I think he came up late in the season. But 2017, played in 96 games. 2018, this is his best. He played in 157 games. 2019, 63 games. 2021, 157. Last year, 57. So he's had 1, 2, 3 seasons where he's played under 100 games. That's not going to cut it. I mean, that's
There's a word for that. There's 2 words for that: injury and prone. Mike Vaz says, Larry and Dan, is it true that Greg Johnson walked back his comments that ownership is or was going to exercise Farhan's option? Danny, do you know anything on that?
I don't think I've heard anything like that, but maybe. I mean, I'm hoping that'll come. I mean, gee.
They walked back the Correa commitment.
I said it. Yeah, you walked back the Correa after he was in the room and his parents and everything were there. All dressed, ready to go.
What if we found out, like, at his core, that Greg Johnson was just super vindictive and decided to do to Farhan what Farhan did to Correa, and calls Farhan to an extension. He's got his family there, and they're all they're dressed up, they're in the room, and then all of a sudden it's off. It's all off, and we're going in a different direction.
Oh, God.
And we have another GM over here that's coming in. Come on in. Blah, blah, blah. That would just be epic. Payback. Greg Johnson gets payback. Fish and Chips says, I'm Chips. I'm a Giants fan. And I've been a Giants fan for 35 years. And I'm dull. That is awesome. I'm a Giants fan. I've been a Giants fan. I grew up in the Sunset rooting for this team. I'm 48 years old and I'm dull. Just a line of Giants people. I'll put it on the scoreboard.
Instead of having these contests, where you send in, a tape and why you want to, be a Giants season ticket holder. You give this passion speech. I've been a fan. My family's been a fan for, it's been since they came in 1958. My grandfathers had taught me this. I want season tickets. It's like you got another term says how to get a refund on your tickets. You got this long story.
That'd be awesome between innings if we could hear people's arguments for why they wanted out of their ticket commitment.
Exactly.
That would be awesome. I'm Pam. I sit in section 119, and I've paid faithfully for 19 years. And it's just that times are a little tough, and the cable bill's going up. I got this terrible mole, if you can see it, under my eye, and my insurance is not what it used to be, and I really would just like to get out of this. I've tried to sell these tickets online, but I'm having a hard time moving them. I just would like to be let out.
Can you imagine?
I still think the team's going to be good. But I've been watching the Krug show. That would be epic. That would be epic. Darren Ty, why sit Elliot Ramos? Fuck. He's like, fuck it, we suck. Seriously, didn't Ramos get an RBI single yesterday?
Yeah, he got a double.
Sit his ass down.
Hit the ball 100 and some odd miles per hour.
Do not let him get into a rhythm. Please sit him down.
Yeah, don't ever let your young prospect of 23 that has all the
What if he got a hit today? He'll expect to play tomorrow.
Yeah, Wisely, they pinch hit for Ramos or anybody that they can get a chance to, but Wisely comes up late in the game and he's facing a lefty, and it's like, oh, here's a spot for Ramos. Oh, but wait, Wisely's family's here because he's from Florida, so we better let him bat. And David Villar's family's here, so we better let him face the righty and get, strike out 4 times. It's like, I really believe that
it's like
they played him.
It's Little League.
Yeah.
You know what? Jimmy's dad's in the 3rd row, Bob. If I were you, I wouldn't pinch hit this inning. He's right there. Could you imagine the Giants made decisions based on what parents showed up at the game? Jay Mill says, "Hey, only 146 more games to go."
Nothing
Is that
like it.
that almost should that's almost should be banned as like a threat? A guy in the chat made a threat to us. He made a threatening statement. What was the statement? He said there was 146 more Giants games to play this year. He did? Get that guy arrested.
Only 75 more home games, though. Make sure to get your tickets and get them early for the best seats possible.
Get them
No,
early. Get them when they're hot. Fish and chips. Larry, if we put out a team of Topps cards, would we be better? Well, I don't know if we wouldn't pick the ball up that well. MF says, I want the Giants to do well. And I'm very happy.
Hey, ideally, you'd want your team to win close to 90 games, make the playoffs, be in that that excitement of the playoffs we saw last year. Phillies won 87 games, took it all the way to the World Series. Place was rocking. That's what you want. But
we're being way too harsh. Let's get a female perspective. Nicole says, "I just want Kapler to be fired. I still want us to win."
Yeah,
so there you go.
Ideally,
now we're
win,
represented.
I put a poll out the other day on Twitter. The question is, would you rather win and do well and have an 85 game win season? Hey, you're 85 and 77. You finish well. That's not a bad record, but you didn't have enough to make the playoffs.
You know what I don't like? I just don't like the vibe around the Giants. Kapler's tight as a drum. He's like, he's super paranoid, looking over his shoulder, looking for any potential mutiny, who's plotting against me, who disagrees with me. His pressers are like, you'd swear he's the leader of a nation. The way that he's talking, he's like, everything's very measured and serious. The Giants right now are the least fun vibe than they've ever been. Is there anybody less fun than Gabe, Farhan, and the way the Giants are run right now? Yeah, there's no fun. It's like these guys can't even. A writer asks one basic question about a guy's oblique, and it's like, we will have that information to you and duly noted, and we'll have that to you in a set amount of time, and we cannot discuss how, it's like we're talking about an injury in March 8th.
What do you think? They're
just very tight. They're a very tight team. We had Alex Wood on, and when he talked about going to the mound, when Cap came to the mound and took him out, he didn't even say Cap. He didn't even say he. He's like they. He said they. So I get the sense that the players know that it's all coming from this group Giant think, which is led by Farhan, and it's just like they probably don't blame Kapler that much. He's just kind of carrying out the wishes from above, but it just comes across as everybody's tight, nobody's having any fun, nobody's loose. There's not a lot of joy. It's just like, my Tandy 5000 just spit out these facts, and if you guys don't play the game this way, you're benched. It's like, you know what? I don't care if Ramos got 2 hits and they both went 112 miles an hour. My spreadsheet says that he's not going to get a hit against these righties, and damn it, he's not going to play today. It's like, really?
Yeah, you should. Who's a comment up here? Michael Taylor at 812 says, I agree. I'm 38. I've been a diehard fan since early 90s as a young kid, and this is by far the most discouraged with the Giants I have ever been. This team is just unbearable. It's interesting because they are losing. I have yet to meet anybody or talk to anybody that really is excited about the Giants team. I met a guy yesterday at the bank. He's from San Rafael down here in Arizona. Big, huge Giants fan.
Just plays like a joyless endeavor.
Well, he said that, he's actually rooting for him to lose because he wants Farhan and Gabe gone. And I said, really? I said, yeah, I actually did a poll on that. I'm not everybody feels that way. It's a feeling of people is not connected to the team. And Larry, do you really think
They're the hardest? I mean, Gabe is one of the hardest guys to like and one of the hardest guys to root for.
well, this is
This super nervous, fidgety, anal guy who played for the Dodgers and seems like he's equally about to tell you that your question was the most genius thought that ever existed, and on the next question he's going to bite somebody's head off, and it's just like the vibe sucks. I mean, it's a terrible vibe. They could be one of the smartest teams in the game. I don't even care. I really don't even care.
Him. I had a little thought the other day. I was watching him interview, and he gets really kind of. It's almost like, when you're younger and you ever been around women, and you kind of feel kind of like when you're talking to women, like you kind of like, oh, I hope they like me, and you're just talking. He's got women reporters, and he's really nice to them, and he's like acts really, really soft with them, and then he just shreds some of the men. I've seen it. But do you think he really wants to manage? Like his heart's really into managing? He just seems like he's into food. I mean, he's into Instagram.
I don't even care. I don't care if his heart's into it. I don't like him.
Baseball is out putting stuff on Instagram about their food, and
it's entertainment. I just don't find the club is not entertaining. It's not joyous. There's not a good vibe. He's not likable. It's not like he's the White House spokesperson. That person needs to be competent, not likable, competent. Okay? You could be prickly and agitating, but if you're competent, I have respect for you. He's a baseball manager. Yes, he's supposed to be likable. We're supposed to kind of like him. I don't know. I always felt like the Giants managers were likable. People liked Frank Robinson. They liked Roger Craig. They liked Dusty Baker. They liked Bruce Bochy. I don't remember a Giant manager everybody hated. Everybody's like, oh. Would you? I mean, if somebody told you
Charlie Fox was the Giants manager in the
if someone told you were going to have to drive cross country with Gabe Kapler, you'd start breaking out in sweat. You'd be like, "Oh my God, what the heck?" What are we going to talk about? Mark Hope says $2. The Larry F bomb. Well, I mean, what can I say? I personally just. It's not even about capable. It's about marketing. It's about likable. People buy from who they like and who they trust. What you know is a lot about your trust equation, right? Do I trust you? Well, what does he know? That's that. If someone knows a lot, you're more likely to trust them. But who they are makes them likable or not likable. And I'm just deciding for myself. I'm not trying to decide for any of you. But for me, Gabe and Farhan are not very likable. Now, Farhan's way more likable than Gabe, but still, at the end of the day, he's got this, I'm going to do what I damn well please, and I don't care if it doesn't work. I'm 10 times smarter than God. And it's like, that rubs you wrong over time. But he's more glib, and he's a little bit more likable personality. Gabe's just like paranoid, kind of angry, kind of bitter. He's got all kinds of philosophies. He's super smart. He's equally condescending, and then he's trying to be charming, and it's all, you just get the feeling that it's a bunch of bullshit. You know what I mean? I get the feeling that at the end of the day that it's a bunch of bullshit. And I don't want to be bullshitted. And that's where I think a lot of fans are as well. I think they sense it. No, but just stop bullshitting us. And, I've got 5 everyday ball players. I've got 5. Gabe, you're a platoon monster. We've got 5 everyday guys. He doesn't have 3 everyday guys.
Yep.
But he's telling us that he's got 5 everyday guys.
Yeah. I saw a comment by Nicole V. Bruce Bochy was like a second grandpa to me. She said, you want to see a picture
He's totally likable. He's smart. He got the guys,
I want to show you a video here.
Had everything in perspective. I mean, a manager's supposed to be like, Steadying hand. I don't
Watch
get the
this.
picture that Kapler's a steadying hand. He looks like he's about ready to bite somebody's head off.
Yeah. Boch was such a great guy. Back in 2017, my mom, my brother arranged, they were playing the A's. My brother knows president of baseball ops, Pamela Pitts there, and arranged for to come down on the field. My mom had cancer, and so a bunch of Giants players came up, took pictures with her. But here's one of Bochy back in end of July 2017. You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Just a nice
Come
guy.
by I'm gonna do some ribs on the Traeger. Stop by in a bit. We'll have a beer.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, Boch is extreme on the other direction. He's super likable, but I mean, it's just like at the end of the day, if you're not likable, you better be you better be beyond competent. You better be like stellar. If you're one of these guys that nobody wants to be around, you better be like the smartest guy in the freaking room.
Like
Otherwise,
you got to be like Belichick.
Yeah, you better be like 19 steps ahead of everybody. If you're abrasive, why do you think people stomach that Alan Dershowitz guy? You think people like that guy? No, but he's like incredibly smart. Right, so people always seek him out. Alan Dershowitz. Tell us what you think, Alan Dershowitz. Why? You think anybody likes that guy? No, people can't stand that guy. They're sprinting from that guy. But he's smart. He's smart, and that's why they go to him. Brian Iglesias. Giants couldn't hit water if they fell out of an effing boat. Robert Rothberg. Larry, question for you: if all the injured players return, would they have enough offense? Border maybe, but even so, it's like. It's just they don't have enough everything.
Who's
it's
the
like
injured guys that would return though. It's just Conforto,
Haniger,
and Haniger. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can throw Slater, but we've seen Slater.
Slater.
I still think you got a weak lineup. The rest of the lineup, they strike out way too much.
Nothing wrong with Slater, but I mean, come on. People act like Slater's some secret to the universe. Will Martinez. Kruk is going to have a hard time sugarcoating this disaster on KMBR. Murph is even calling them out. Murph is calling people out? Are you serious? Mark Hope says, love Rob Deere, Chili Davis, and Jack Clark. Yeah, we love them, Mark. Unfortunately, they're the last three fucking outfielders this organization has produced. Those guys are all in retirement. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Dan Gladden came after those guys, I believe.
Yeah.
There was Dan Gladden.
He's still doing announcing with the Twins, I believe, isn't he? Dan Gladden, I think he's one of their guys.
I remember when Dan Gladden came up, it was like, this guy's just raking. He just absolutely broke onto the scene with incredible fanfare. Elias is like, they can't effing hit. That's awesome. That's awesome. Elias, they literally cannot effing hit. When I was on with Gary, Dan, this is like right, I forget what year it was, and the Giants were going through another one of these things where they just couldn't hit, right? And I'm like, I want everybody who's listening to KMBR right now, just roll down your window and just start beeping your horn. And I want you to scream outside your window, they can't hit. They just can't hit. And, oh, my God, it was hilarious. So
was that like 05 or something?
Yeah, something like that. And I come out of the station. And I'm walking to get my car, and a guy rolls down his window and says, Krug. I'm like, what? And he's like, they can't effing hit. Gary just started laughing. Oh, man. Funny days. Brandon Davenport. I would like to see Gary Sanchez play. He hit 195 over the last 3 years.
He's not the answer to the Giants' problem.
He just brings more questions. My good buddy Lou Marston in the last 5 games, 11 hits, only after
after the 5th inning.
Oh, after the 5th inning. Larry, Can you make a call so I can get good seats at the park? Only candlestick crowds after May 1st.
Only candlestick crowds. Oh my!
Will they let you move down? That'll be like the entire debate in the second half will be like, should the ushers let you move down?
Well, you saw the crowds on TV.
They don't do it at the Coliseum there.
Yeah, in Miami and in Detroit, there's no one there. I mean, these are, the Giants are getting there. They really are.
Will Martinez says Sabian never put together a boring product like this, and he didn't run his ball club like a fantasy baseball team. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to be like super you don't have to be like, I mean, the only thing about Sabes that I didn't love is that like sometimes the Giants were too wed to their plan. Where they're not wed enough to their plan now. Now they probably don't even have a plan. They just have like a timeline. So like before they used to acquire guys, and if I don't care if those guys struggled or not, they went with those guys day after day after day. Now they don't go with guys ever.
I'm just
you don't even know who their guys are.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, I mean, they're just, if you're not doing it today, there's probably going to be somebody in there tomorrow. And if you are doing it today and you're facing a different, right-handed pitcher or left-handed they're switching it up. They're looking for incremental growth and improvement at every turn. And it's created this kind of day-to-day chaotic vibe to the team. Guys are coming, guys are going. You're announcing publicly that Joey Bart is probably not in your plans, and then all of a sudden you get a couple injuries, and now you're playing Joey Bart every day. It's like, it's almost like you can't really verbalize a direction for the team because you really only have the next 48 hours planned out. That's why they can't verbalize a direction. It's like, because they don't really have any conviction in any one decision.
Well, I just kind of wonder, I look at the chats here and I see, all the comments like Los D, who the hell is the scouting director for the Giants? Clint Eastwood at age 93 would have a better eye. Yeah. I mean, so we got a lot of smart baseball fans following your channel, my channel.
The Giants have a lot of knowledgeable fans because they've seen a lot of ball.
Right. So they're following my channel and your channel, and we're getting all this, reality. But then there's the other channels that are, all this, oh, we love Farhan. Oh, just why the distinction, you think, between the fans that are in reality versus the Giants flagship selling, this team's, they're top in home runs and they're at the top 5. And it's really amazing that they're 5-11. And, and you just watch them play. I think they had 1 or 2 exciting games all year. It was the game 2 against the Mets the Yankees. And then the game where they scored 16 runs against the White Sox. The rest of the season, they beat the Royals for 1 win, was a comeback, a home run by Conforto. So that's 3 wins. Where's their other 2 wins? Oh, they beat the Dodgers 5-0. That's 4. Oh, they beat the White Sox twice. That's right. So
they had a couple nice wins on the south side of Chicago.
Yeah,
they had a couple nice wins.
And everybody got excited about that. And the rest of
they also got a couple lucky wins. They got that one lucky win, and they were basically they had 2 hits going to the bottom of the 8th, and they won that game.
Beat the Royals.
Conforto home run. They
that
avoided the sweep.
Yeah,
against the Royals on a lucky situation.
So where's the excitement? Where I'm getting at is that for this team, a lot of people are really high and on the team, and I mean, I
think just a lot of people are really high. That's probably just it right there. Maybe not even on the team. No, I mean, there's just a lot of people. I mean, there's going to be some part of the audience doesn't care what they're seeing. They're not discerning, right? They'll take anything. They'll take anything and they'll be happy with it. There's those people. Then there's the people that no matter what happens, they will not be happy with it. And then there's most of us in between. And I think the only thing about it is the Giants, when the ownership group bought the team in 92 and going into the 93 season, they understood marketing. And they built up their ballpark and they made Candlestick palatable. They signed Barry Bonds. They made the team more attractive, better, more athletic, and they understood how to market it. And they understood the value of marketing. Now they call up guys. I mean, Mark Graves has a great one here. He says Farhan's conviction to Papirski wins, Dixon Machado, Kevin Padlo, Stewie Fairchild. What a joke. It's just a parade of guys, just guys. You know,
it's nobody's. I mean,
it's nobody's.
Nobody's heard of.
Right. And it's like they've literally, the one criticism that seems like a cheap shot that's not fair, that is actually very fair, is when people compare the Giants and say Farhan is just creating the A's West. Because in a lot of ways he is. What are the A's? The A's are a team whose owners make a tidy profit, whose fans don't really care about the team and are watching it less and less and less every day that goes by. And the team is a non-distinct team devoid of stars and public faces and recognizable faces. That's what Farhan is doing with the Giants. He's literally doing the same game plan. The owners are going to collect a nice little check. They're going to pat him on the back for having $70 million of profit, and they're going to lose in anonymity as the fan base erodes. Is that what they want? It appears to be what they want. That's what the A's have done. Billy Beane is a nice guy, and was a failed number one pick who's built himself a nice little career. He's never won anything. Never won anything. Never. His teams don't go to the playoffs, and when they do, they lose. He's got no World Series. He's got no World Series appearances. Yet he's got he's the most recognizable name of any executive in the sport. So he's a marketer. He's marketed his name and connected it to this movie. But his plan for building is nothing. He hasn't built a winner. He hasn't built anything approaching it. John Fisher is a billionaire who's got a nice little profit going and, was basically on the MLB dole for all these years, getting kickbacks, and now is got to stand on his own 2 feet for a little while until they vote him to have more kickbacks. And he's just sitting there collecting his little profit and ruining a franchise that's in the fourth or fifth largest market in the country, crying poor mouth. So, it's just it's a sad situation. Now the Giants have hired somebody who's a disciple of Beane and believes wholeheartedly in this approach.
Totally.
And now they have do they sign big time free agents? No. They kick tires on top tier guys and then go for third tier guys. And then are forced to give them, 1 year outs so they can get away.
So what do you think this is?
They're not building in the draft. The fan base, the season tickets are plummeting. The fans are being turned off at 7:00 every night, and they think this is somehow sustainable. This is, they're eroding their business, and they just keep doing it. And it's insanity because it's like, we'll just keep doing this, and we'll get a different result eventually.
Right.
I mean, seriously, it's
you
crazy.
think that there's 30 plus owners.
It's tone deaf on what this market is about and what this market expects.
Okay. So they got 30 plus owners. These are guys that some of them have a small percentage. Johnson's owned the largest percentage, and you got all these guys in, and they're like, okay, our profits, I want profits. I'm watching the A's. We're winning World Series, but we're not making any money. These guys over in Oakland are the worst team. They got nobody showing up, and they're making the biggest profit in baseball. Do you think these 30 owners are like wanting, hey, we want our profits each year. We're tired of, we'd like, hey, I only own 5% of the share, but if we're making 75 million, at least I'm making 300,000-400,000 a year on my investment, because I may not live long enough to see it until you sell it. They bought it for 100 million. It's worth 4 billion now, but they keep getting more and more investors in there. But I'm thinking why these owners really don't care. It's because there's nobody with an ego that says, "Dang it, I'm going to win." And you don't have a New York Mets owner.
They're not their forefathers. They're not anywhere close. The people who used to own baseball teams were sportsmen. People who used to own
Peter McGowan.
They were sportsmen. They were already wealthy, incredibly wealthy. What are sports franchises? They're toys for the insanely rich. And originally, they used to be great sportsmen. It's funny. People always say, oh, George Steinbrenner, like he was the Antichrist. Take George Steinbrenner's name out of the equation and just say, hey, if I told you there was a guy who ran a company and his company made an insane profit and he kept reinvesting the profit back into the product, would you call him an idiot? No, you'd say he's a great businessman. Well, that was George Steinbrenner.
Right.
And that's exactly what he did. He kept taking the incredible profit and investing it back into the team. So, there's limits. Everybody's got to have somewhat of a budget. Obviously, fans always want to spend more, but it's not about how much you spend. It's about how you spend it and what kind of results you get. And the Giants have to get serious about competing because right now they're not very competitive. They're not competitive for the top free agents. We just saw that this offseason. They're not competitive on the trade market because they don't have prospects to trade anybody. They're not competitive in the amateur draft because they're taking college pitching when all the best players are high school hitters. They're not competitive in the international draft because they never sign the top tier guys. They always let them go to the Padres or Yankees or one of these other clubs. So if you're never competitive for the best players, why would you ever be the best? Right? It's really as simple as that. And to be the best, you have to compete for the best talent around the globe, and they don't.
Yeah, and I think hopefully people don't get all excited in the offseason about Shohei Ohtani because he
ain't coming here.
He's not coming. There's just no way. He's going to be a Dodger, most likely.
Seriously, you should be able to bring suit on the Giants if they ever even mention his name. It's false advertising.
Yeah, don't even entertain. We're gonna just like we're meeting with Shohei Ohtani. Yeah, come on.
Why don't you go meet with Babe Ruth? He ain't coming either.
No, it's just a situation that is getting worse year by year. The regime is. You were down in Scottsdale with me. You saw the crowds. They weren't sold out crowds. These back in.
We're still close enough to the World Series where there's holdover of goodwill. Right. They just won 3 World Series as recently as 2014.
Right.
The deconstruction of a once proud franchise takes a little time. Give them a few more years.
That's what I'm saying. It's dwindling and they're still living off of that past. And their biggest problem is going to be their farm system. If their farm system doesn't produce, what they're trying to do is completely unsustainable. You cannot continue to go out and just get all these free agents, these fringe free agents, and just sign them for a year or two. And then you think eventually, Grant Brisby put an article out today about this in The Athletic about describing all the players that Farhan has signed. It's unbelievable amount, Larry. It's like 161 transactions of players. And he's basically said if the farm system doesn't produce, some of these free agent acquisitions are going to have bad years. Really bad years. And what you're basically doing, like they asked if Elliot Ramos had a really big year last year, would they have gone out and signed Haniger? No. So they're having to sign all these guys because their farm system's not producing. And if the farm system doesn't produce, you're going to see this year after year after year of constant parade of shuffling guys off the Titanic. And, eventually somebody's got to pay a price that's in the minor league system. My thing is find out who's producing a great farm system. Who's responsible for the Orioles? Who's responsible Who made the Houston Astros what the Houston Astros were? Who's making the Pittsburgh Pirates farm system grow? Who's making, these teams that are on the rise? And go grab that guy and pay him double his salary or whatever it is, and just say, look, we want to make you the guy that develops our farm system, because those are the guys that don't cost a ton of money. You're not paying, $30 million to a guy. These guys are probably making 100, 200 grand. Go give them.
Oh, absolutely. Grand. Seriously. And there's no cap on what you spend on that. Exactly. So go spend it.
Find
MF says,
guys.
Larry, Dan, you guys go to the clubhouse and ask Gabe questions after the games. Yeah, we could do that. We can go in there.
Yep.
Gabe, I got a question. What the fuck? Well, that'd be awesome. Just walk in there. What the fuck? What's going on? Mark Hope, I don't want to be BS'd. Thank you, Larry. This one's good from Niner Empire. Larry, didn't you say a month ago that Will Levis would be the top quarterback drafted? He's now neck and neck with Stroud, according to the Vegas odds. Really? You know what? I think I would probably go in a different direction now. I think I'd go with Bryce Young. Tammy McDaniel says, Larry, the man, if you had ripped me, I probably wouldn't have put it up there. Eddie says, I'm done with Slater. Tammy McDaniel, Dan the man, you missed a great show last night. Well, I had to separate Danny from Cy because these guys just don't get along. But it seems that Dan isn't the only one that makes Cy go crazy, because JD and Cy had it going. Last night, as JD and Cy were going to town on each other, I thought JD is the Mets for Farhan's Correa. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does anybody follow me? Does anybody follow that when I say that JD, John Dickinson last night was to Cy what Farhan was for, or what the Mets were for Farhan and the Correa deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it got a little ugly last night. Car God says, Larry, do you think Pete Rose in this era of gambling gets suspended for life? His coaching tree was stopped in its tracks. Baseball needs Pete. You know what? I would encourage everybody. One of the greatest sports shows I've ever seen in my life, and I'm not trying to use some hyperbole there. I really believe this. It's called The Backstory. Don Van Atta, former investigative journalist during the Clinton White House, did a show on ESPN. It's now, I think, off the air. But he basically did a whole thing on Pete Rose and gambling in baseball and Shoeless Joe Jackson and this and that, and it was genius. And it basically just told a story how baseball leaders are a bunch of fucking hypocrites and how these guys basically were pro-gambling at the origins of it to help grow the popularity of their sport. And they were only anti-gambling when the players turned one over on the owners. The owners were pro-gambling when they were making all the money, but then they were anti-gambling when the players decided to take a little bit of for themselves. And Pete Rose is the Antichrist, and because he bet on his, I believe Pete did never bet against his team. I believe Pete bet on his team, and I do understand why it was wrong, and I do understand that that it cuts at the core of the game, but it's also hugely hypocritical because now baseball's in bed with the gamblers. Now baseball's making money on the gamblers. Now there's gambling kiosks at Wrigley Field. So gambling wasn't okay with the owners until it was okay until it wasn't. And then it wasn't okay until it was. Isn't that interesting? I think I teased that correctly. Go check out Don Van Atta. You could just you could just type into your Xfinity remote or speak into the remote The Backstory, Pete Rose. It's about an hour long. Unbelievably well done. Well done. And I would like to see Pete back in the game. But, here's the bottom line on that thing. Every manager has relievers they want to use and relievers they don't want to use. And the reason that Pete gambling on his own team is still not okay is that when he had huge money on the line, he used the relievers that he wanted to use. And when he didn't, he used the other relievers. And don't tell me otherwise. I know he did. So that means that the game wasn't on the level, and it was all tied to his gambling whims, and that kind of behavior has to be eradicated, cannot be condoned, has to be pushed back on. There are rules for a reason. He knew what the rules were. It was a sense of arrogance and entitlement. He intentionally broke the rules, but that's who Pete Rose is. He intentionally has broken many rules throughout life, and that's who he is. Yeah. I've met Pete Rose. I sat right next to him at his radio show when it was on Sports Fan Network and shook his hand in New Orleans, talked to him for like a half hour after his show. Pete Rose played the game the right way. I can remember as a little boy going to the game and my dad pointing out Pete Rose, and he's like, son, that's the way you play.
Yeah.
That's the way you play. He sprinted to first. He hustled to second. He took out the guy at second base. He was smart. He was intense. He played to win. I'll never forget that. I was like 5, 6 years old. My dad's like, see that guy down there, Pete Rose? He's not the most talented guy, but that's how you play the game.
Yeah. I'm looking at a comment. Somebody asked me a question, Tammy McDaniel. She says, Dan, what was your take on the Warriors' loss last night? Well, I'll give you 2 takes. One, they got outclassed, they got out hustled defensively. Sacramento put it to the Warriors. They stopped Curry at the top of the key. They needed to get the ball down low, and they're setting screens out near the stinking between the circles, and they're having to go around it, and they're running out the shot clock, and they were just daring other guys to beat them. So Brown knows this offense. He knows every nook and cranny of what Steve Kerr's offense is. And when you know it, it's kind of like you can effectively do things that other teams can't. Here's what I'll give you.
By the way, Jason McCabe has donated $2. Thank you, Jason. And Brian Iglesias has just weighed in. The NBA just suspended Draymond for Game 3.
I was going to say that. He's going to get suspended.
The Warriors are done.
Okay.
The Warriors are done.
If that's fact, they said he wasn't suspended earlier. But if that's
95-7 Brian.
Oh, okay. So
he's credible.
I was going to say.
That's it. Warriors are done.
Here's why I thought he was going to get suspended. And then I'll share a comment from my brother what his take is on this series. I thought he was going to get suspended because we just had DeMar Hamlin go into that Komodo Cardis or whatever it was by getting hit in the chest, where it was got tackled at the wrong time. His heart was beating, and it caused him to go into that where, we saw we almost died. What happens if Draymond stomping on Sabonis' chest sent him into like a cardiac arrest type deal? Could have happened.
Well,
freak thing. I mean, wouldn't not. Hey, the odds aren't high.
Guess what? This is absolutely bullshit that Draymond should be suspended for that. Absolute bullshit. If you saw the play between Albert Bell and Fernando Vina when Albert Bell clocked Fernando Vina going from first to second. That was a non-baseball play. It was literally an assault done on a baseball diamond. In the context of a baseball game, we witness assault. There's nothing about what Albert did to Vina that is in any way a baseball play. So if Vina had turned around and spiked him in the leg or I don't know, somehow did something with his equipment and threw it at Albert Bell or let's say hit him with something, that would be should Vina be suspended? No. The guy who should be suspended is the guy who initiated the non-baseball play. In this case, it was Sabonis who initiated the non-basketball play because you don't grab a guy's leg. And after he grabbed his leg, he should have just stepped on him, and because that's where his natural standing point should have been. To me, for Green to get suspended is just absolute garbage. Just absolute garbage. He did not initiate that. Sabonis initiated that. Sabonis is the one that basically initiated the non-basketball play. That was he took it beyond basketball, and anything that happened after that should have been on Sabonis. This is a terrible injustice. That all being said, I got to end this live stream now because I'm going to do another one here at 9:00 with the great Jordan Elliott. But I do want to get these in because everybody, we've got this one. Embrace the tank. Mark Graves just says, Larry. Mario Trutonic. Larry, I need more energy from Dan's show. Darren Ty. Listen, barbed wire tats were awesome in the 90s. Jay Wise says, Larry gave a great impression of Kapler. There's something about Kapler that makes him distant. Mark Hope. Larry, when Gabe exits, I think Mark DeRosa would be a great replacement. I think that's a phenomenal idea. MF says the Giants should fire Kapler, let Wotus run the squad. They would play more together. Robert Rothberg says, Larry, question for you. If all the injured players return, would they have enough offense? No. Factual toilet. Larry. There you go. Lou Marston. Fashion. Or Farhan, requirements to be a Giant. Must be hurt or broken down and cheap, plus no one else wants. That's very, very true. MF, what happened to Will Bednar? Remember he told Larry on his show before the draft that he would take him with the pick. That's right. Farhan told us ahead of time. Jerry Milady says, Larry, you remind me of Pete Franklin. Keep giving them hell. Oh, my God. I love Pete Franklin. Niner Empire. Larry, didn't you say a month ago that Will Levis would be the top quarterback? He's now neck and neck with Stroud. We had that one. We got this one from Fish and Chips. Super chat. At least the A's have a possum for entertainment. Matt Wright goes $9.99. Thank you, Matt. Donovan Solano getting paid $2 million. Dubon getting paid $1.2 million. Are both hitting $340 right now. And Farhan both let them walk for nothing. Nothing like it. Great. Mark Hope says, Larry, SF only has one guy throwing 98 plus. What gives? So there you go. There you go. Danny, I'm going to jump. I appreciate you. Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon. And here we go. Ashley, we'll finish with Ashley. She says, Larry, they suspended Draymond even though the dude on the ground fired to pull Clay, basically pulled Clay down from his back of his jersey, then fell intentionally, grabbed and twisted Draymond's ankle. How is that fair? No, it's blatant.
It's ridiculous.
It's a blatant bad call. It's a horrendous. Brian says the NBA just stated the suspension was based in part on Green's history of unsportsmanlike. Oh, that's great. Yeah, we should. We can't use priors in society, but we can use it in in basketball. You kicked Steven Adams in the nuts once upon a time. We'll never forget. We will never forget that nut kick. Yeah. All right. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. Multiple locations. They're in Corte Madera. They're in Emeryville. It looks a little bit like this.
So New York Style Sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York Style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never gonna deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
And do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
Coming down the home stretch, Penny has become a YouTube member. Congratulations, Penny. Thank you very much for being a member of the Krug Show. Tammy McDaniel says, Dan the Man, it's good to have you back. Danny, good to see you.
Yeah.
Where do the Giants go tomorrow? They go daytime, right?
Yeah, 10:10 in the morning. Try to avoid a sweep. Doesn't look good. They're facing a lefty and Trevor Rogers. They don't hit lefties. They're not hitting much for hitting righties.
Righties, lefties.
But then they got a tough 8-game homestand. They're coming home to face the Mets, who are off to a good start. I mean, this thing.
You've heard that joke. Hey, I don't want to live with Daddy. Why? He hits me. Why? I don't want to live with Mommy. Why? She hits me. I want to go live with the Giants. Why? They don't hit anybody. All right.
Good one. On that note,
what time is the game? You said 10 a.m.
10:10. Yeah.
You want to do a little midday post game tomorrow with me? I'm thinking
a little thing going here. I think I got to be somewhere
lunch?
in the afternoon, so I got a 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock appointment. So,
all right. Well, no sweat. I'm gonna come on tomorrow after Giants. Before I'm going live with Wayne Breezy tomorrow at 2. So, Danny, if you're around, I'll send you an invite if you're watching the game in the morning or if your plans change. Otherwise, everybody, thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your night. Coming up in about 5 minutes on this same channel, I'm going to welcome in Jordan Elliott. We're actually going to do a 49er live mock draft, Jordan and I together, coming up momentarily right here on the Krug Show. Until then, we're out.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle.